I am Emilio, 32 years old and a financial advisor in Chicago who built my success from scratch. After years of hard work, I earned that gold card with its generous limit, a symbol of my financial discipline. Never did I imagine my own parents would rack up $88,000 for my sister Isabella's European vacation without my permission. When I confronted my mother, she called me cheap. Her exact words, "It is your punishment for being so cheap," I warned her. "Do not regret this later." Then I froze everything. Before I tell you how my family betrayed my trust and how I had to make the toughest decision of my life, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from, and subscribe if you want more stories about standing your ground. Growing up in a middle-class family in suburban Illinois, my childhood was comfortable but far from extravagant. My parents, Robert and Gloria, worked hard to provide for us, instilling values of hard work and family loyalty. But from an early age, I noticed the difference in how they treated me compared to my younger sister Isabella. She was the princess, the golden child, who could do no wrong, while I was expected to be the responsible one, the rock, the provider. When Isabella wanted dance lessons, my parents found the money. When I needed a laptop for school, I was told to save up. This pattern continued throughout our childhood and teenage years. It was subtle at first, but became more obvious as we grew older. Isabella got a car for her 16th birthday. I got a bus pass, and congratulations on my work ethic when I bought my own car at 18 after working multiple jobs. Despite this, I loved my family deeply. I understood my parents came from a generation and culture where daughters were often more protected and coddled. I accepted it, even as it hurt. I focused on building my own path, working through college with minimal help from my parents, taking out student loans, and accepting that financial independence would be my journey alone. After graduating with a finance degree, I started at the bottom of a financial advisory firm, putting in 60-hour weeks, living in a tiny studio apartment, and eating ramen noodles to save money. Those early years were brutal, but they taught me everything about financial discipline and delayed gratification. I clipped coupons, tracked every penny, and slowly built my client base through sheer determination. By 27, I had paid off my student loans. By 29, I had made junior partner at my firm. By 30, I had bought my first condo. Now at 32, I manage a portfolio worth millions and earn a comfortable six-figure income. The gold card with its high limit was something I had earned through years of perfect credit and financial responsibility. Throughout my climb, I never forgot my family. When my father needed dental work their insurance would not cover, I paid the $4,000 bill without hesitation. When their roof leaked, I contributed $6,000 toward repairs. When Isabella graduated college and needed first and last month's rent for her apartment, I gave her $3,000 as a gift. I never expected repayment, just appreciation and respect. Last month, my family gathered for Sunday dinner, a tradition I still honored despite our complex dynamics. Isabella, now 26 and working as a marketing coordinator, announced her desire to take a European trip with friends. "I have always wanted to see Paris, London, and Milan," she gushed, showing Pinterest boards of luxury hotels and designer stores. "But it is so expensive. I have been saving, but it is still not enough." The expectation in the room was palpable. My parents looked at me, waiting for me to offer financial assistance, as I had done many times before. "How much are you short?" I asked cautiously. "About $10,000, Isabella admitted. "I have saved $5,000. But the whole trip will cost around $15,000 for 3 weeks if we do it right." $10,000 was not an insignificant amount, even with my income. And something about the way everyone assumed I would cover it bothered me. "That is a lot of money, Isabella," I said carefully. "I can help with some expenses, maybe $2,000 toward your flights, but I cannot fund the entire difference." The disappointment was immediate. My mother's smile faltered. My father cleared his throat uncomfortably. Isabella pouted like she was 16 again. "But Emilio, You have that fancy gold card, my mother said. What good is all that money if you cannot help family? I worked hard for that money, I explained. And I do help family. I have helped many times. But there is a difference between helping in emergencies and funding luxury vacations. The rest of dinner was tense. My family seemingly accepted my boundaries, though with obvious disappointment. Isabella barely spoke to me as I left. My mother hugged me stiffly. My father patted my back and said, "Think about it, son. Family is everything." I drove home that night with a familiar weight in my chest. The burden of never quite measuring up to my family's expectations. Despite all I had achieved and contributed, little did I know that this dinner was just the prelude to a betrayal that would force me to redefine those family relationships entirely. Tuesday started like any other workday. I arrived at my office downtown by 7:30, reviewed client portfolios, and prepared for 2 morning meetings. Around 11, my phone buzzed with a notification from my credit card company about unusual activity. This was not entirely unusual. As my spending patterns varied with client dinners and travel, I swiped to check the alert, expecting perhaps a flag on a larger than normal purchase I had made. Instead, I saw multiple transactions in London. A charge for $4,000 at Harrods, another for $3,200 at a luxury hotel in Mayfair, $2,700 at a Michelin-starred restaurant. Confusion turned to alarm as I opened my banking app and saw dozens of transactions over the past 3 days from locations in London that I had never visited. My heart raced as I scrolled through charge after charge, the total quickly mounting into tens of thousands of dollars. I immediately called my credit card company. Stepping out of the office into the hallway for privacy, "I am seeing numerous charges from London, but I am in Chicago right now," I explained to the representative. "I believe my card has been compromised. Let me check that for you, Mr. Mendez," the representative said. After verifying my identity, she reviewed the recent transactions. And it appears these charges are coming from an authorized user on your account. Your mother, Gloria Mendez, was added as an authorized user 2 years ago. These charges are from her card. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. My mother was using my card in London. I had indeed added her as an authorized user years ago, but only for absolute emergencies. She had promised to never use it otherwise. And until now, she never had. "Can you tell me how many charges there have been and the total amount?" I asked. My voice strained. "In the past 3 days, there have been 37 charges, totaling approximately $62,000. Most are from London, but I also see some pending charges from Paris that have not fully processed yet. $62,000. The number was staggering. My mind raced to make sense of it. London, Paris. The realization dawned on me with sickening clarity. Isabella's European trip. Somehow my mother was with her, using my credit card to fund what appeared to be a luxury shopping spree across Europe. I thanked the representative and ended the call, then immediately tried calling my mother. No answer. I texted her, "Mom, I see charges on my card from London. Please call me immediately." No response. I tried Isabella next. After 3 attempts, she finally replied with a text. "Cannot talk now. Shopping with Mom. Will call later." The casual dismissal in her message made my blood boil. I stepped back into my office, closed the door, and sat at my desk, trying to process the betrayal while maintaining my professional composure. I had clients depending on me. I could not fall apart. At lunch, I called my close friend Marcus, one of the few people who understood my family dynamics without judgment. "They did what?" he exclaimed after I explained the situation. "Emilio, that is not just inconsiderate. That is fraud. Family or not, they are using your card without permission for tens of thousands in luxury spending. I know, I said. The reality's still setting in. I just cannot believe they would do this. After everything, you need to confront them directly, Marcus advised. And honestly, you need to shut that card down before they spend even more. But they are family, I said. The automatic response, ingrained after years of conditioning. If I shut down the card while they are in Europe, if a stranger stole $62,000 from you, would you hesitate to act? Marcus asked pointedly. Look, I know you love them, but this crosses every line. They are taking advantage of you in the most blatant way possible. Deep down, I knew he was right. This went beyond the usual family expectations. This was a deliberate violation of trust. Still, family loyalty ran deep, and I struggled with the thought of potentially leaving my mother and sister stranded in Europe. I decided to make one more attempt at communication. I sent a detailed text to my sister. Isabella, I know you and Mom are using my credit card in Europe. There are over $60,000 in charges already. This was not authorized. Please call me immediately to discuss how you plan to repay this money. Her response came an hour later. Do not be so dramatic. Mom said, it was fine. You always have to make everything about money. We will talk when we get back. Enjoying Paris now, the dismissive tone was the final straw. I decided to call my mother one more time, regardless of the time difference. This time, she answered, hello. My mother's voice came through clearly, despite the international connection. Music and conversation buzzed in the background. Mom, we need to talk about the credit card charges, I said, keeping my voice level despite the anger and hurt churning inside me. Emilio, how lovely to hear from you, she said brightly, as if this were a normal catch-up call. Isabella and I are having the most wonderful time. We just finished shopping in Milan and are having dinner at this amazing restaurant. The pasta is divine. Her casual tone made my jaw clench. Mom, there are over $60,000 in charges on my card. That does not include whatever you spent today in Milan. What is going on? Oh, that, she said dismissively. Well, after you were so unhelpful about Isabella's trip, I remembered I was still an authorized user on your card. It seemed like the perfect solution. We are family. What is the big deal? The big deal, I said, struggling to maintain composure, is that you have spent $88,000 of my money without asking. That card was for emergencies only. And you know it. Do not be so dramatic, she replied, echoing Isabella's text almost exactly. You make plenty of money, and after all we have done for you, raising you, supporting you, this is the least you can do for your sister. She deserves this trip, Mom. This is not about whether Isabella deserves a nice trip. This is about you taking my money without permission. $88,000. Do you understand that is legally fraud? There was a pause, and when she spoke again, her voice had hardened. Are you threatening your own mother? After everything we have done for you, I am not threatening anyone. I am stating facts. What you have done is wrong, and I need to know how you plan to pay me back. She laughed, the sound cutting through the phone. Pay you back? Do parents send bills to their children for raising them? For the food, the clothes, the roof over their heads for 18 years? Number? Consider this payment for all we have given you. My patience was evaporating rapidly. That is not how parenting works, Mom. You chose to have children. I did not choose to fund luxury shopping sprees across Europe. Always about money with you, she said bitterly. So cold. So calculating. Isabella was right about you. What is that supposed to mean? It means, she said, her voice taking on a cruel edge I had rarely heard directed at me, that Isabella deserves this trip. It is your punishment for being so cheap all these years. Always counting pennies. Always hesitating to help family. Her words felt like a slap. After everything I had contributed over the years, after all the times I had helped without question, this was how she saw me. Cheap. Punishment. The words echoed in my mind. "Let me speak to Isabella," I demanded. "She is in the restroom." Besides, she agrees with me completely. My phone buzzed with an incoming call, my father's name flashing on the screen. "Hold on, Mom. Dad is calling me. I already told him about our conversation," she said quickly. "He agrees with me." I switched to my father's call. "Dad? Son, your mother told me you are giving her a hard time about the credit card," he said without preamble. "I think you need to calm down and remember who you are talking to." The unified front should not have surprised me, but somehow it still did. "Dad, they have spent $88,000 without my permission. How can you defend that? Your mother raised you. She sacrificed everything for you kids. If she wants to treat Isabella to a nice trip, that is her right. You need to respect your mother's decisions. This is not about respect. This is about financial boundaries and basic decency," I argued, increasingly frustrated that neither parent could see the violation from my perspective. "Family has no boundaries," my father stated firmly. "We are all one unit. What is yours is ours. That is how family works." As we argued, my phone beeped with incoming texts. Isabella had finally decided to weigh in. "Mom told me what you said. Cannot believe you would be so selfish. This trip means everything to me. Stop ruining it with your money obsession." Followed by, "BTW, we are extending the trip another week. Going to Rome, too. Deal with it." The cavalier attitude, the entitlement, the complete disregard for my feelings or financial autonomy pushed me past my breaking point. A cold clarity washed over me. "I need to go," I told my father abruptly. "Tell Mom and Isabella not to regret this later." "Is that a threat?" my father demanded. "It is a warning," I replied calmly. Actions have consequences. I ended the call and immediately dialed my credit card company again. When the representative answered, I spoke with certainty. "I need to report fraudulent usage on my account and freeze all cards immediately, including those for authorized users. Are you sure, Mr. Mendez? This will decline any pending or future transactions until resolved." "Absolutely sure," I confirmed. "And I want to start the process of disputing all charges from London, Paris, and Milan over the past week." As I completed the necessary steps to freeze the account and begin the fraud investigation, I felt a mix of emotions: anger, hurt, vindication, and an odd sense of liberation. For perhaps the first time in my life, I was standing firmly for my own boundaries, regardless of family pressure. Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications. First, a text from Isabella. "What did you do? Card just declined at restaurant. So embarrassing." Then from my mother, "Fix this right now. We are sitting in a 5-star restaurant, unable to pay the bill." I turned my phone to silent and set it face down on my desk. They had made their choices. Now, they could face the consequences. The barrage continued throughout the afternoon and into the evening. Voicemails, texts, and emails poured in, each more frantic and angry than the last. By the time I left work, I had 27 missed calls and over 40 unread messages. I sat in my car in the parking garage, finally ready to assess the damage. The messages told the story of my family's meltdown in real time. "The restaurant is threatening to call the police if we cannot pay." My mother, 2:15 p.m. "We had to use Isabella's emergency cash just to avoid getting arrested. How could you do this to us?" My mother, 2:42 p.m. "The hotel says they cannot honor our reservation without a valid card. They are making us leave. Where are we supposed to go?" Isabella, 3:30 p.m. The tone shifted from panic to threats as the hours passed. If you do not fix this right now, do not bother coming to Thanksgiving or Christmas. You are not welcome in this family. My mother, 4:10 p.m. Your father is having chest pains from the stress. If anything happens to him, it is on your head. My mother, 5:23 p.m. Isabella had taken her rage public, posting on her Instagram story. When your own brother strands you in Europe because he is too selfish to help family, the manipulation was transparent, but still painful. The claim about my father especially concerned me, so I called their home number, which my father answered immediately. Are you okay? Mom said you were having chest pains. I asked. I am fine, he said gruffly. Your mother was exaggerating, but I am extremely disappointed in you, Emilio. How could you leave them stranded like this? They left themselves stranded by committing fraud, I replied. And they are not stranded. Isabella has her own card. They just cannot continue their luxury shopping spree on my dime. This is not who we raised you to be, he said. We taught you that family comes first. Family should also respect boundaries. What they did was wrong, Dad. Can you honestly say you would be okay with someone taking $88,000 from you? Without asking, his silence was telling. They have options. I continued. They can use Isabella's card. They can contact their bank for emergency funds. They can book more affordable accommodations. They created this situation, not me. After we hung up, my Aunt Maria called, apparently enlisted as a mediator. Emilio, your mother is very upset. She says there has been a misunderstanding about the credit card. There was no misunderstanding, I said firmly. She took my card without permission and spent $88,000. Then, she called it my punishment for being cheap. Well, I am sure she did not mean it that way. Aunt Maria hedged. You know how your mother can be dramatic. But they are family. You cannot leave family in trouble. I am not leaving them in trouble. I am holding them accountable for their actions. As the evening progressed, my relatives continued to call. Some sympathetic to my position, others firmly on my parents' side. The family was choosing sides in what had become a full-blown crisis. Through social media, I watched as Isabella's European dream vacation unraveled. Her posts shifted from glamour shots in front of landmarks to bitter complaints about having to move to a disgusting 3-star hotel and cancel dinner reservations at famous restaurants. While part of me felt vindicated seeing the consequences of their actions, another part grieved the family relationships that seemed to be disintegrating in real time. But each manipulative message, each entitled demand, only strengthened my resolve. This pattern had existed my entire life, and for the first time, I was refusing to play my assigned role. The next morning, I contacted my lawyer, James Sullivan, to discuss my options. Given that your mother was technically an authorized user, this becomes complicated, he explained. However, the fact that the understanding was for emergencies only, and the extensive nature of the charges, gives us grounds to dispute them as misuse of authorization. What should I do next? I asked. Document everything. Every text, every call, every admission that they used the card without your explicit permission for this trip. Forward me all communications. And most importantly, do not give them access to any more of your finances. His last point triggered a realization. If they had been willing to abuse the credit card authorization, what other access might they have? I spent my lunch break doing a complete audit of my financial accounts. My blood ran cold when I discovered my emergency savings account had been accessed 2 days ago, with a wire transfer of $20,000 to my mother's account. The account was one I rarely checked, as it was specifically for major emergencies. Years ago, when I first set it up, I had given my mother access information in case something happened to me. I had never imagined she would use it this way. This discovery took the betrayal to an entirely new level. The credit card had been bad enough, but directly transferring funds from my savings crossed into territory I could not ignore or forgive easily. I immediately called her, my hands shaking with anger and disbelief. "How could you take money from my savings account?" I demanded when she answered. There was a pause before she responded defensively. "We needed emergency funds after you cruelly cut us off. That account was for emergencies. And this is an emergency you created." I created? You stole $88,000 from me, and when I stopped the theft, you stole $20,000 more? Do you have any idea how serious this is? Stop being so dramatic. We are family. There is no stealing between family. That is not how the law works, Mom. That is not how trust works. You have violated both. The law? She scoffed. Would you really take your own mother to court? After everything I have sacrificed for you? At this point, I do not know what I would do. But I know I cannot trust you anymore. Her tone suddenly shifted, becoming cold and distant. You know, Isabella was right all along. You were never really part of this family the way she is. Always different, always difficult. This situation just proves it. The words cut deep, revealing the painful truth I had sensed but never heard stated so explicitly before. Before I could respond, my father got on the line. "Son, you need to stop this nonsense right now. The only reason you have anything in life is because of the values and support we gave you. Everything you have, you owe to this family." It was the breaking point, the final push I needed to take decisive action. "I will be pursuing all legal options to recover these funds," I said, my voice steady despite the emotion churning inside. "Do not contact me again, except through my attorney." I ended the call and immediately began the process of financial separation. I froze all accounts that had any connection to my parents. I changed every password, removed all authorized users, updated all security questions, and placed fraud alerts on my credit reports. Through my lawyer, I sent a formal notice demanding repayment of all unauthorized funds and outlining potential legal consequences if they failed to comply. The family's reaction was a mixture of shock, outrage, and then, finally, fear. As they realized I was serious about pursuing legal action, my sister's social media went silent. My parents' call stopped. The extended family was divided, with some understanding my position and others believing I had committed an unforgivable betrayal of family loyalty. But for the first time in my life, I was not swayed by their opinions or expectations. I had found a clarity and resolve that came from standing firmly in my own truth. That night, alone in my apartment, I allowed myself to feel the full weight of what had happened. The pain was immense, but alongside it was something unexpected, a sense of liberation. By defending my boundaries, I had reclaimed a part of myself that had been subjugated to family expectations for far too long. 3 days after freezing my accounts, I received an email from my bank flagging additional suspicious activity. Someone had attempted to access my investment account, trying multiple password combinations before the system locked them out. The IP address traced back to my parents' home internet provider. This attempt to access my investments, after everything else, left me stunned. There seemed to be no limit to how far they would go. I called my financial advisor immediately and placed additional security measures on all investment accounts. That evening, my phone rang with my sister's number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Isabella, unless you are calling to apologize and discuss repayment, we have nothing to talk about." "Apologize?" she said, her voice slurring slightly, suggesting she had been drinking. "You are the one who needs to apologize. Do you have any idea what you have done? We had to fly home early on a horrible budget airline. Mom had to borrow money from Aunt Maria. It was humiliating. You created that situation, not me," I replied calmly. You and Mom stole over $100,000 from me. God, you are so dramatic. It was not stealing. Mom was just teaching you a lesson about family. A lesson? What lesson exactly? That you cannot be so selfish and cheap. That family takes care of each other. That everything does not have to be so transactional all the time. Her hypocrisy was breathtaking. So taking $100,000 without permission was Mom's way of teaching me not to be transactional about money? You just do not get it, she said with exasperation. You have never really been part of this family anyway. Mom and Dad always said you were different from the start. Always calculating, always holding back. The comment stung, confirming what I had suspected, but never heard stated so bluntly. Is that what they say about me? Oh, please. Do not act surprised. You know you were always the odd one out. Why do you think they always favored me? At least I understand what family means. I ended the call, her words echoing painfully. Minutes later, my father called. Your sister is upset, he said without greeting. She should be. Her actions have consequences. Listen to me carefully, Emilio. The only reason you have achieved anything in life is because of the foundation your mother and I provided. Your success exists because of our support. What support exactly? I asked, genuine curiosity in my voice. The student loans I paid myself? The apartments I rented with money I earned? The career I built while you were telling me I was too focused on money? We gave you values, discipline, a home, he sputtered. Yes, you did. And I am grateful for that. But that does not entitle you to take my money without permission. This attitude of yours is destroying this family, he warned. No, Dad. The entitlement and disrespect is what is destroying this family. After hanging up, I made the most difficult decision yet. I contacted my lawyer and instructed him to proceed with formal legal action to recover the stolen funds. I then emailed my parents and sister, informing them that all communication should go through my attorney until further notice. The reality of legal consequences finally seemed to penetrate their sense of entitlement. My mother called repeatedly, leaving voicemails that shifted from angry to pleading. Emilio, you cannot be serious about this lawsuit. We are your parents. Think about what this will do to our reputation in the community. Son, please call us back. We can work this out within the family. No need for lawyers. Please, Emilio. Your sister is devastated. She never meant for things to go this far. I did not return the calls. The time for conversation had passed. Their actions had shown me who they truly were and how they truly viewed me. No amount of manipulation or guilt could change that reality. Friends and colleagues noticed the change in me. Marcus commented over lunch that I seemed different, more grounded somehow. You have good days and bad days, I admitted. But overall, I feel like I am standing on solid ground for the first time. Like I finally know where the boundaries are, and I am not afraid to defend them. That is what happens when you stop setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm, he observed. The legal process moved forward. My parents hired their own attorney, who reached out to discuss settlement options. They wanted to avoid court, concerned about public records of their actions. Through the attorneys, a negotiation began. They acknowledged the unauthorized use of my credit card and the withdrawal from my savings account. They agreed to a repayment plan, though they insisted they could not repay the full amount immediately. I instructed my lawyer to stand firm on full repayment, but allowed for a reasonable time frame. I was not interested in punishing them financially, only in recovering what was rightfully mine and establishing clear, immovable boundaries. As the legal discussions continued, I received an unexpected text from Isabella's boyfriend, Alex. Hey, Emilio. I just wanted to say I think you are doing the right thing. I have tried to tell Isabella that what they did was wrong, but she will not listen. Just wanted you to know not everyone thinks you are the bad guy here. It was a small vindication, but meaningful. Perhaps reality was beginning to penetrate the family bubble of entitlement. 3 weeks after the initial discovery, I received a letter from my mother. Unlike her voicemails and texts, it was thoughtful and showed the first signs of genuine reflection. Emilio, I do not expect you to forgive me right away. What I did was wrong. I violated your trust in a terrible way. At the time, I convinced myself it was justified because you have always been so successful and responsible while Isabella has struggled more. But that does not make it right. I hope someday we can rebuild what I have broken. With love, Mom. It was not a complete acknowledgement of everything that had happened, but it was a start. I did not respond immediately, needing time to process whether this was genuine remorse or another manipulation tactic. A few days later, my father called. Against my better judgment, I answered, Emilio, I want to talk without lawyers, just father to son. I am listening, I said cautiously. I have been thinking a lot about what happened, about the things I said. I was wrong to suggest your success was only because of us. The truth is, you succeeded despite us often not giving you the support you deserved. I was defensive because it was easier than acknowledging our failures. His candor surprised me. Thank you for saying that, Dad. I cannot speak for your mother or sister, but I want to make things right. I have taken out a loan against my retirement to begin repaying what was taken from you. The first payment should hit your account tomorrow. It was the first concrete action any of them had taken toward making amends. A small step, but significant. I appreciate that, I said, feeling a complex mix of emotions. It means a lot. Can we meet in person soon? He asked. Just you and me? I hesitated, still protective of my boundaries. Let me think about it. I am not ready for a full family reconciliation yet. I understand. This is on your timeline, not ours. As I hung up, I realized we had reached a turning point. The family dynamic had been fundamentally altered. Whether we could build something healthier from the ashes remained to be seen. But for the first time, there seemed to be acknowledgement of the harm done, and a genuine desire, at least from my father, to make amends. My parents and Isabella returned from their abbreviated European adventure 2 weeks earlier than planned. Their social media, once filled with glamorous photos from luxury locations, went conspicuously quiet. Through mutual friends, I heard they were keeping a low profile, embarrassed by how the trip had ended. When I finally agreed to meet my father for coffee, he looked older, more subdued. The confident, sometimes domineering man who had raised me seemed diminished somehow. Thank you for meeting me, he said, genuine gratitude in his voice. We spoke carefully at first, avoiding the most painful topics. He asked about work. I inquired about his health. Eventually, though, we had to address the elephant in the room. Your mother wants to apologize in person, he said. She is too proud to admit it, but she knows she crossed a line she cannot uncross. I am not ready for that, I admitted. Her letter was a start. But given everything that happened, I need more time. He nodded. I understand, but I hope you know she does love you. In her way. We both do. Love should not look like what happened, I said quietly. Love should include respect. You are right, he admitted, surprising me again with his candor. We have not respected you as an adult. We continued treating you as an extension of ourselves, not as your own person, with boundaries. This acknowledgement meant more than any apology could have. For the first time, my father was seeing the dynamic clearly. The money is important, I explained. But it was never just about the money. It was about the pattern of entitlement, the expectation that my resources were family resources, while my needs were my own problem. I see that now, he said, looking genuinely remorseful. I enabled your mother's behavior for years. It was easier than standing up to her. And, with Isabella, We failed her too, in a different way. We never required her to stand on her own feet. We talked for nearly 2 hours. The most honest conversation we had ever had. He did not try to minimize what had happened or pressure me into quick reconciliation. Instead, he listened, acknowledged, and committed to change, both in his own behavior and in how he would influence my mother and sister. A week later, I received a formal email from Isabella. Unlike her usual emotional outbursts, it was measured and appeared to have been carefully written. Emilio, I am writing to formally apologize for my role in the unauthorized use of your credit card and savings account. My behavior was inexcusable. I allowed entitlement and jealousy to override basic decency and respect. I am working with a therapist to understand why I believed I was entitled to your financial resources. I have secured a better paying job and am committed to contributing to the repayment plan our lawyers have discussed. I understand if you need space from me right now. I hope eventually to prove through actions, not just words, that I understand the gravity of what I did. Isabella, the email shocked me with its maturity and accountability. It lacked the emotional manipulation and victim positioning that had characterized all our previous interactions around this incident. I responded briefly, acknowledging her apology and expressing cautious hope for her new perspective. 3 days later, my mother requested a meeting. Despite my reservations, I agreed to see her at a public cafe near my office. She arrived on time. Something unusual for her. She had always kept family waiting. A small power play I had noticed, but never commented on. Thank you for meeting me, she began, echoing my father's words from our meeting. I am listening, I said, neither cold nor warm. I betrayed your trust in the worst possible way, she said, getting straight to the point. I took advantage of access you gave me for emergencies and used it to fund a luxury vacation. When confronted, I was cruel and dismissive. I cannot undo those actions. But I want you to know I understand how wrong I was. Her directness surprised me. I had expected excuses, minimization, or subtle guilt tactics. What made you change your perspective? I asked cautiously. Several things, she admitted. The reality of potential legal consequences, yes, but also seeing your father take responsibility for his part. Watching Isabella confront her own entitlement issues, and honestly, losing the respect of friends and family when they learned what we had done. But mostly, the thought of losing my relationship with you permanently. That was a wake-up call I never expected to need. We talked for over an hour. Unlike previous conversations about difficult topics, she did not deflect, become defensive, or turn the tables. She listened more than she spoke. She acknowledged specific behaviors and attitudes that had damaged our relationship over years, not just in this incident. I always favored Isabella, she admitted at one point. I told myself it was because she needed more support. But the truth is, she was easier to understand. She was emotional like me. You were always so self-sufficient, so logical. I did not know how to connect with that. So I pushed you away and then resented you for the distance I created. Her insight into the dynamic floored me. I had never expected this level of self-awareness from her. As our meeting concluded, she handed me an envelope. Inside was a check for $30,000. It is from my personal savings, she explained. The first installment on what we owe you. I sold some jewelry and took money from my retirement account. I know it does not fix what happened, but I wanted you to see I am serious about making amends. The money mattered less to me than the gesture. It represented a concrete acknowledgement of wrongdoing and a commitment to change. Thank you, I said, genuinely moved. This means a lot. Can we talk again next week? She asked. No pressure for full reconciliation, just continuing the conversation. I nodded. I would like that. Over the following weeks, a careful reconstruction began. We established a formal repayment plan, with all three of them contributing. Isabella took a second job to increase her contributions. My father worked overtime. My mother sold more of her valuable possessions. But more important than the financial restitution was the shift in family dynamics. For the first time, my boundaries were acknowledged and respected. No one made demands or assumptions about my resources. Conversations became more honest, less manipulative. Isabella and I met for lunch a month after her apology email. Her boyfriend Alex joined us briefly and surprised me with his perspective. "I hope you do not mind me saying this," he said. "But what you did by standing firm actually helped Isabella more than anything. She is different now, more independent, more accountable. It is like she finally grew up." Isabella blushed, but did not disagree. He is right. I was spoiled and entitled. I never had to face consequences because someone, usually you, would fix everything. As horrible as this situation was, it forced me to look at myself honestly for the first time. Small family gatherings replaced the former large, tension-filled dinners. The conversations became more genuine, less performative. We began to know each other as adults, not just as roles in a dysfunctional family system. It was not perfect. There were setbacks, moments when old patterns threatened to reemerge. But each time, we caught ourselves more quickly, addressed the issue more honestly. 6 months after the incident, my father called with unexpected news. "Your mother and I are starting marriage counseling," he said. "We realize this situation exposed problems between us that we have ignored for decades. We want to do better for ourselves and for you kids." Their commitment to change extended beyond just their relationship with me. They were examining the foundations of their marriage, their parenting, their entire approach to family dynamics. It was a turning point I had never anticipated when I froze that credit card 6 months earlier. What had begun as a necessary defense of my financial boundaries had catalyzed a family-wide reckoning and reconstruction. It has been 6 months since I froze my credit card and discovered the extent of my family's betrayal. Looking back, I can see that moment as both an ending and a beginning. The end of a dysfunctional family pattern that had persisted for decades, and the beginning of a more honest, respectful relationship with my parents and sister. The financial aspect has been the easiest to resolve. We established a formal repayment plan, documented through our attorneys. My parents have been diligent about making monthly payments, and Isabella contributes what she can from her new, better-paying job. To date, they have repaid about 40% of the total amount taken without permission. More important than the money itself is the consistent demonstration of accountability. The emotional healing has been more complex. I started seeing a therapist who specializes in family dynamics, which has helped me process the anger, hurt, and lingering doubt about whether I did the right thing. Through therapy, I have come to understand that my family's behavior was not about me being cheap or selfish, but about established patterns of entitlement and boundary violations that had gone unchallenged for too long. My relationship with each family member has evolved differently through this process. My father has become my strongest ally, often serving as a bridge between me and my mother when tensions arise. He has acknowledged his role in enabling the dysfunction and works consistently to change his own behavior while supporting my boundaries. "I am proud of you for standing your ground," he told me recently. "It took courage I never had." My mother fluctuates between genuine remorse and occasional slips into old patterns of emotional manipulation. The difference now is that she catches herself or accepts gentle correction when it is pointed out. Last month, when she made a comment about everything you can afford with your fancy job, she immediately stopped herself and apologized. "Old habits," she said ruefully. "I am still working on that with my therapist." Isabella has shown perhaps the most dramatic transformation. She completed a financial literacy course, found a therapist of her own, and recently received a promotion at work. She no longer expects others to solve her problems or fund her lifestyle. We are building a relationship as equals for the first time. I never realized how much respect matters in family relationships, she told me during a recent dinner. I always thought love meant giving people whatever they wanted. Beyond my immediate family, this experience has changed how I approach all relationships. I am more direct about my boundaries, more discerning about who I allow close access to my life, and more confident in my right to protect myself from exploitation, even from people I love. Not all family members have supported my stance. Some relatives continue to believe I overreacted, that family obligations should override personal boundaries. I have had to accept that not everyone will understand or approve of my decisions, and that is okay. My self-worth is no longer dependent on family validation. The freedom I have found in establishing clear boundaries has extended to other areas of my life. At work, I am more assertive about my limits and needs. In friendships, I am more authentic, less concerned with pleasing others at my own expense. My relationship with money has evolved too, from seeing it as something I needed to defend from others' claims, to viewing it as a tool for creating the life I want, including helping others when I choose to. Through this journey, I have developed deeper relationships with those who respected my decision, like my friend Marcus, who supported me from the beginning, and even Isabella's boyfriend Alex, who had the courage to acknowledge the wrongness of their actions, despite his loyalty to my sister. Some family relationships may never fully recover. My Aunt Gloria, my mother's sister, still refuses to speak to me, convinced I humiliated my family unnecessarily. Other relationships have deepened beyond what I thought possible, built on a new foundation of honesty and mutual respect. The most important lesson I have learned is that love and financial exploitation are not compatible. Real love respects boundaries. Real love does not take without permission. Real love does not punish independence or success. I also learned that sometimes the hardest decisions lead to the healthiest outcomes. Had I capitulated to avoid conflict, had I simply absorbed the financial loss to keep the peace, nothing would have changed. The dysfunctional patterns would have continued, perhaps escalated. By taking a painful stand, I created the possibility for genuine healing and growth. 6 months ago, I could not have imagined sitting comfortably at a family dinner without tension or manipulation. I could not have imagined my mother acknowledging her favoritism or my sister taking responsibility for her entitlement. I certainly could not have imagined my father in therapy, examining his role in the family dynamics. Yet here we are, slowly rebuilding trust. One honest conversation, one respected boundary, one fulfilled commitment at a time. The healing is not complete, and perhaps it never will be entirely. Some wounds leave scars, but we are moving forward with greater awareness and intention than I ever thought possible. For anyone facing a similar situation, wondering if they should stand firm against family financial exploitation, I can only share what I have learned. Boundaries are not selfish. Self-respect is not cruel. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and others is to say no to behavior that harms and enables. The journey continues, with its ups and downs, its progress and occasional setbacks. But I face it now from a place of strength and clarity, no longer willing to set myself on fire to keep others warm, but still open to the possibility of genuine connection based on mutual respect. What about you? Have you ever had to establish difficult boundaries with family members? How did you balance love with self-protection? Leave a comment below, sharing your experience. Your story might help someone else currently facing a similar struggle. Do not forget to like this video if it resonated with you. Subscribe for more stories about navigating complex family dynamics, and share with anyone who might need to hear that standing up for yourself is not just okay, it is sometimes necessary for everyone's growth. Thank you for listening to my journey. And remember, true family supports your wings, not clips them.